It's Hot Mike Cutting with Row here at OutKick.com. Chad, what did we hear from the Buffalo Bills?
So, look, I'm like a proxy Bills fan at this point because my brother-in-law, who I love, shout out Patrick Brown Jr., PJ.
PJ, what's up?
Huge Bills fan. Everybody, I mean, that Western New York region is so Bills crazy that they fling their body through tables week after week in support of their Bills.
Aflame.
Risking life and limb. Their fans would risk anything and give it 110% at all times, whether that be drinking or jumping through a table. They give their all week after week for Western New York, for Buffalo, for their Bills. The Bills are coming off a big home win in the national spotlight game over Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Then they go to Miami and play a team coached by a guy who mumbles his way through every press conference, and that team plays with their hair on fire. And Josh Allen has this to say after the game.
Josh, obviously at times out there it just looked really difficult for you guys on offense. What did they do that made it so?
They came ready to play. They wanted it obviously a little more than us.
They play harder than us. Simple as that, right? Like, they came out, they played hard, they swung, you know?
Effort's never really something that we have to question. Why do you think they played harder than you guys today?
You know, who knows? Maybe they had a good meal last night. I don't know.
GTFO. Also, sound a little bit like Mick Cronin with the meal talk. Maybe the pregame meal
That
wasn't
was
good enough in Buffalo, which is good. But at least he wasn't complaining about the in-flight meal on the way back to Western New York. The effort should never be questioned. It should never be questioned because no one should have to ask the question, especially to professional athletes, especially to a team that it is Super Bowl or bust. We're not talking about the Dolphins, who have very little to play for other than their paycheck and their personal and team pride right now. And their coach is getting fired after the GM got fired. Not even for their coach anymore. He's going to get fired at the end of the year. There's nothing to play for but the game and respect for it. And the Bills' two leaders, Josh Allen, Dion Dawkins, Hutton, post-game, are saying they didn't play harder than the other team. I'm very confused by all of this.
No, the maybe they had a better meal. I took that as funny. Like that's a response from a guy that's like, really, dude? Like,
they ate their Wheaties.
Yeah. Look, this is a problem across, I think, sports in general, you know, or maybe just society now, where it's just like you feel like you could just go mail it in and get a win. And against the Dolphins, teams have treated the Dolphins like a get-right game, you know? Except the Bills don't have to get right because they just beat the Chiefs. The last time that they, I won't say mailed it in, but they went through a lull just a couple of weeks ago where they lost back-to-back games. They lost to the Patriots and the Falcons. And they turned around and beat the crap out of the Panthers, 40-9. That was the week before they faced Kansas City and won that game. Coming up, they have a matchup against Tampa Bay next week. It's a Sunday at 1 Eastern. They'll be ready to go and ready to play that game. But, Chad, the difference between true championship teams and those that get very close but don't seem to make it at the very end, to me, it comes down to the mindset and the leadership right there. Maybe this somehow jars them into gear, but that loss will leave them on the road in the postseason. The AFC loss. Josh Allen was 14-2 for his career against Miami. I mean, he averaged 3 touchdown passes or 3 touchdowns scored per game over his last 7 matchup against Miami's defense. Defenses change, but the performances don't against that team for them. And I mean, you see Miami. Did you see Miami's celebration? Post-game locker room. They're in
they wanted it.
They're in the laundry carts, you know, they will it. They're like dancing, acting like they're boats and being pushed around, and they got the music going on. I mean, that was their Super Bowl.
Oh man,
I have no idea how Miami got up to play for that game. But I mean, if Miami's not just matching you, but they're going above the level that it takes to just mentally be in there, and that's not us saying that. Your 2 offensive leaders are saying that.
It's nuts.
I don't understand.
In my fraternity, we had this thing called mop bucket relay. That's what you remind me of with the laundry carts, and they're celebrating
that was
in it.
Hilarious.
We had a long hallway in our upstairs of our fraternity house at Sigma Nu at Tennessee, and we had a guy who would get wasted, and everyone would start chanting and slow clapping like Hoosiers, and he would do what we call a mop bucket relay, which is where one brother would start on one end, put him in a mop bucket where he's like hunched into it, get full momentum going and release, and he'd go head first into the wall on the other end, much like a Bills fan would.
Yep.
And that was the mop bucket relay at the end of it, similar to the Dolphins celebration yesterday.
Look at it. Here it is.
It definitely meant more to one team than the other, apparently.
Look at the vibe in the locker room. They're dancing and they got the social videos going.
Amazing. Here's the thing I'd like to carry out over to all sports, though. I don't want to have to question effort anymore. We as media members need to stop with this whole, boy, I don't know if they're even motivated anymore. They're out of the college football playoff chase. Why wake up in the morning? Why even show up to next Saturday's game? College football especially. You get 12 Saturdays to play. All right? This may sound very old man of me to say, but you get 12 opportunities. I don't give a damn if you are 2-9 going into the last game of the season. You show up and you play hard. That's the baseline expectation. The coaches are paid a lot of money. The players now are paid a lot of money. There are zero excuses not to prepare hard and play hard every single game. And the more we ask the question and treat it like it's a legitimate thing, which, by the way, I'm not saying it's not. I fully believe it is a thing with certain teams and players and coaches. It shouldn't be. We can't apologize for it, and we should just admit that that should not be a thing. What Josh Allen and Dion Dawkins are saying, that should not be a thing, especially in the NFL, especially for a team trying to win a Super Bowl. It's also not a thing. It should not be a thing. It is. Shouldn't be a thing in college football either. Hutton, especially now the guys are getting paid, especially at some places as much as they are. Like, I don't want to sit here and, oh, my gosh, we're not going to make the college football playoff. How will we wake up and go play a game next week against a rival school? Boy, we have two big rivals left. I don't know that we're going to have any motivation to play. GTFO with that bullshit.
And a lot of it, too, is, and absolutely, yeah, and DBAP. But sometimes, teams do just wake up just in a fog. But that's where the leadership gets you out of the fog, right?
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest here. There may be a player or two for Buffalo.
Culture should get you out of, especially in college.
No doubt.
That's on the head coach and coaching staff. You got a bad culture if your team quits.
Yeah, well,
and that's on you ultimately.
And if you're just going through the motions, right? But it doesn't happen often with the Bills, but it did this week, and they were bitten. But also consider what that game did. They already have a head-to-head loss to New England. New England went on the road and they won against Tampa. They're now 8-2, and the Bills are 6-3. The New England Patriots currently lead the division and are squarely right there in the mix with their the target is the number one overall seed in the AFC. That's Buffalo's spot because they were supposed to have that because they won head-to-head against Kansas City. They came back and won against Baltimore, 41-40 in Week 1. But it's examples like this as to why New England is where they are and Buffalo sits at 6-3. And we want to see Buffalo Detroit for the Super Bowl.
No doubt.
But it's not going to happen with stuff like this.
No, it pisses me off.
Because the road to the Super Bowl goes through Arrowhead, and right now it's in Foxborough with a team that is well coached, that executes, and has one of the MVP favorites in Drake Maye playing quarterback against the team that is supposed to win the division. I say supposed to, with the current defending MVP in Josh Allen. Here are your new odds, by the way.
I increasingly get more and more pissed off, especially in college, when you hear about this, right? Like the people aren't playing hard for each other. And good for Drake Maye, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Or not playing hard for their teams, their coaches, whatever it is.
And this is sad, but Jonathan Taylor, let's go, man. This should be way higher than 12%.
It definitely should be higher.
But now we get Tampa, Buffalo, both coming off losses.
Hutton, here's the deal. Have we won every show this year? No, we haven't. Are we even playoff eligible right now at the end of the year? I don't know. Maybe not. But guess what? We're going to show up tomorrow just like we did today, and we're going to go hard. We're going to DBAP. We're going to go hard. We're going to do it for each other. We're going to do it for this outstanding team in studio with us right now. They're going to go hard also. Just because we're no longer playoff eligible, we're not going to lay our asses down and get our asses kicked week after week. We're showing up, baby. Let's go. Let's going to be a
us.
hell of a Tuesday.
11 a.m. Eastern. Hot Mike, Huntley Withrow, OutKick.com. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to OutKick Hot Mic.
Daily content and more at OutKick Hot Mic on YouTube.